So some of you know I got to spend a good part of last week at the Masters with my dad. Gave me a lot of great time to reflect on both planning and perspective, and I wanted to share some of those thoughts with you this week. So on this trip, not only did I obviously get to go spend a few days in an iconic location, seeing one of the most exciting tournaments ever, and spending some quality time with my dad, which is the whole real point of the trip. But it also, as I've come to find, gives me a ton of time to reflect on things and to get away from the day-to-day grind, and for that I'm grateful. And in doing that, I thought about the message I wanted to share with you today, which was around planning and perspective and what really matters. So kind of walking through from the personal to the macro, what matters. Number one of the things that came to mind was building a firm that was bigger than me. Within that context, I just want to give kudos to my teammates. Last week was the first commentary in almost 4 years and 200 different commentaries that we've put out. I didn't touch a single aspect of it. And not only did I appreciate having the week off, if you will, but so appreciate obviously the team that's been built here and what they mean to me, and I know to so many of you. Last week is obviously, again, too, about spending time with those that I care about, which for those of you who have been through our planning process, that's something we hear from you as one of the biggest life goals. Unfortunately, as we get busy, some of these things are costly. Without a real plan, without a conscious intention, a lot of those things can slip. And so one of the things we want to bring into everybody's world, really again on both fronts, is helping shape that intention, partnering with, even on a little bit of an accountability standpoint, making sure those things happen, but absolutely from an investing and planning standpoint, helping empower the why. And lastly, just taking confidence in one's plan in the future was a point that I wanted to reflect on. So walking through those, one of the biggest things I just want to continue to encourage, even if it comes off as redundant, is to take that time to plan, to really reflect and on your perspective on things, and making sure that they really reflect your true desires. The truth of the matter is, doing this, as so many of my colleagues do, with hundreds and hundreds of people, all of whom have their act together, are bright, are good people, but none of us, including any of us here at 10 Capital, have that dialed in all the time. And we really need other people. We need solitary moments, intentional moments, to really dial that in. And not only around the big picture items that we may want to have, but the how. How are you going to make those things happen? How are you going to make sure you're taking time away from your busy schedule to have those moments you want to have? How are you going to be able to reach some of those financial goals that you have is very important. And we see time and time again, people aren't doing it for a host of different reasons. Some of it's fear, that they fear they might not be able to accomplish what they want. For others, it's a fair degree of confusion around really crystallizing that vision and understanding exactly what it is that's going to bring them fulfillment and happiness. Procrastination is probably the biggest monster out there. We get busy. Tomorrow always sounds like the better and best day to tackle some of those subject matters, or perhaps simple know-how of, I know what I want to do, but I'm not exactly sure how to pull it off. Just knowing us, you've got a partner who wants to walk that journey with you, who has a process built on helping find real answers for that. And again, we just encourage you, whether you're a client or not, if you've been through it, send this video to a friend. Again, we find time and time again, people say, man, I wish I had known you all existed some time ago. You could have helped us get past some of these things a long, long time ago. The other thing I thought about coming back is where were we a year ago? So this is the perspective part of planning and perspective. For me personally, we were awaiting baby number 2, so I had no idea how my world was about to get rocked. Although thank you to so many of you who've shared and continue to share your tips and strategies. 10 Capital was in a good place, but at the same time experiencing some frustrations around different technologies or messaging on some certain things, and yet we didn't know we were just on the verge of adding some great friends, finding some great solutions to some of those challenges, and of course welcoming on so many great new clients. From a macroeconomic perspective, which is I know why so many of you tune in, I could distinctly remember, again, this is all within that context of a year over year ago, travel back to Augusta, flying home, and Trump had just tweeted literally that morning again about trade, and the market was tumbling as a consequence. You can go back and catch our early April commentary from last week on my thoughts around that. And we just came off 2 corrections to start the year in January and February, would be heading into a bear market in Q4. It was all fairly bleak if you wanted to look at that singular moment in time. And yet here we are, again, a year later, market's up year over year. The economy's finding its footing. Many of those conflicts appear to be finding some resolution. And the point here again is not letting the day-to-day undulations, whether it's of life, the markets, the economics, dictate one's emotions. I think it's always important to be aware of them. That's why we put out these weekly commentaries, to better prepare for what is possible or likely to happen. But we don't put them out there to trade. We want to hopefully dampen the emotional impact of things when they happen so that you stay the course, stick to that plan, have that proper perspective. And that's really the point to all of these messaging, again, is to be better prepared around that data to handle things from an emotional perspective. Around that market thing, quick market commentary, it's down in the written section below. If you look at the leading economic indicators now, if you look at retail sales data, if you look at the jobless claims data that's come out this week, again, they all seem to allay those recessionary concerns that were rearing their ugly head a month ago, likely putting the economy on solid footing for the foreseeable future. So with that, an encouragement to, again, tackle the challenges that come at us on a daily basis, and at the same time, take a moment, as I did last week, to embrace what's going on around you, have gratitude for it, appreciation, and again, know that we're so grateful for you. To that end, if you're wondering why you're getting this on a Thursday night, the markets are closed tomorrow. I look forward to seeing so many of you here momentarily at our quarterly event, where we're going to hear about prepping for retirement. And for those of you we don't see tonight, have a blessed and wonderful holiday weekend. Thanks so much.